Barman, Men of Oregon, an amazing book. Legacy chapter speaks about Prefontaine, who didn't care about elite brass athlete, track athlete. What he cared about was making an impact in his state. He was willing to stand up for what is right. When was the last time you stood for something? Let's go. Hola, ¿qué tal, mi gente? Welcome to another episode where we are constantly all about cultura. We are about faith y connections. I should put an air horn right here. All right, there we go. So, my name is Noan El Boricua, and I want to say thank you for joining us. And more importantly, welcome because it is Fuel Pasión Friday. And this episode is brought to you by absolutely no one except myself. So hopefully one day we'll get there. But I want to just say thank you guys for joining us. Look, I opened up with this book, Barman, Men of Oregon. If you guys have not read this book, it's an amazing book. Kenny Moore, man, dude, just the way that it was all put together was really good. But, you know, it really got me to think about legacy and really this chapter within that book. I want to say it's chapter 11 or something like that. I'll double check right now. But what I really enjoyed about this is that when you understand this book in the context of like the journey of these athletes, we see that really the underlining, highlight is really Steve Prefontaine. For many of you that don't know, Steve Prefontaine was a very famous American track athlete. He held many records and unfortunately died at a very young age. But the impact has ever been this legacy that's till this day, it is still prominent. Look, many of you guys may have not been to Beaverton, Oregon, just outside. Well, I don't know how far outside of the University of Oregon, but there is the location where the accident happened, and they call it Pre's Rock. I'll put a photo here for you guys, and this is my team when we had the opportunity to visit Pre's Rock. And as you can see, many athletes from all over the world have actually paid tribute to be able to say thank you to Pre for his determination, his fight. Yo, let me tell you, his grit. I were to say, this is just me being that dude. If I was Kobe Bryant and I had to sponsor an athlete that had the Mamba mentality, I would honestly think that it would be Steve Prefontaine would be on that list. What do you guys think? I think so. Shoot me in the comments which one do you think of the mentalities Steve Prefontaine would actually pertain to when it comes to the Mamba mentality. But I think for me is really understanding the chapter that I want to speak on is your legacy and my legacy, our legacy. We know that for many of us that are brown and black and our Asian brothers and sisters, really our BIPOC community, like I always love to say, we know the importance of stories. We know the importance of bringing value. We know the importance of understanding the right resources that are needed in our communities in order to be able to create legacy. So I kind of want to read a little, man, I cannot think of the word, a little blurb, yeah. I'm going to just read a little bit out of the book, and I just want to share with you guys a little bit something. And I'm going to go ahead and read it, and it says, quote, "A second step Barman felt was to embed Pre's goals in an institution. So to that end, Bill conveyed Ray Prefontaine, Walt, various other people. I'm not going to read them for the sake of the time. But he said, we departed the meeting having fashioned this nonprofit of Steve Prefontaine's foundation. Its first major job was to build a running trail equal to that of those that Steve enjoyed in Europe. I've had the chance to run on that trail. It's just outside of the University of Oregon." It goes on, it says, quote, "Barman marshaled local producers, mills donated the sawdust, the trucking companies loaned his vehicles and drivers. Pre's trail was to be Lanes County's Alton Barber Park across the river from campus." It goes on, it says, "Today, at the time of the writing of this book, the trail, 6 miles of spring and cedar bark, wood-paced path, fulfilling Pre's express wish." What I loved about this is that it goes on to finish, and it says, once the trail was finished, Prefontaine's foundation took on a mission to close Pre's heart, to help the most talented in our sport, whoever may they be, whatever they may need, right? Pre had observed with disgust that there was very little support for the gifted young females runners. He had been widely protective of 15-year-old Mary Decker, whom he'd met on the AAU national team in 1973. He called her often at her home in LA to check on her training, moaned at us that her mother and coach were overworking her and over-racing her. So his namesake foundation funded young athletes, listen, especially women, to competitions appropriate to their ability. I think, and I'm in there, I think what I love about this book is that we're talking about back then, like 60s, 70s, maybe almost late 70s, of understanding the importance of how a man like Steve Prefontaine actually wanted to see like communities that were underrepresented to be able to have the right resources and to be able to support them, motivate them, inspire them to continue to do what they do. Yo, I asked the question, when was the last time that you stood up for something that you believe in? When was the last time that you were willing to be reminded of your purpose that God has given you, to be able to go out and attain that purpose, but more importantly, to be able to pay it forward within your community that you're at? Or maybe you have a business goal. Maybe you have a fitness goal. Maybe you have something there that you've put in front of you that you want to be able to get there and dream big, to be able to bring the right resources and opportunities and to be able to pay forward. You guys ever had a coach that you had the opportunity to remember how much they invested in you, how much they believed in you? You guys ever remember maybe like your music teacher that always believed in the sound that you made and the music? Look, those are the moments that I'm talking about. It's time to be reminded today that you have a purpose that you need to be willing to stand up for. And look, I don't know what that is, because every one of you have a beautiful purpose that God has given you. But my hope is that we're reminded of what Steve Prefontaine wanted to see. It's unfortunate that he died in that car crash. But the beauty of it was that he spoke into fruition what he wanted to see done one day. And this is why surround yourself with amazing friends, because your friends and your family will make sure to bring your vision to life. Man. So as we've been doing, we are celebrating Latino Heritage Month. And I want to be able to give a special shout out. When I think of a legacy maker, is I want to give a shout out to Evan Kraft. Now, many of you guys might say, wait a minute, hold up. Evan Kraft is not like Latino, but if you guys remember, we always talk about allies. And I want to say thank you, Evan Kraft, because you are truly a legacy maker, and really your family and your father in the work that you guys have done here in greater Los Angeles with our homeless population. But Evan Kraft, I just want to say muchas gracias. Brother, we had the chance, for many that don't know, we actually met. Funny story. We actually met in Panama. I'm going to be very, very honest, at a conference. I did not know exactly who Evan Kraft was. I just knew that I had to transport our musicians and our speakers to the hotel that they were staying next to, where the one was at. And I don't know if you remember this, Evan, but I remember when I had a chance that we were just kind of talking, and I ended up finding out that we all talk English. So we were originally talking Spanish, and then we're all talking English. And I ended up finding out that my brother, Evan, has family here in LA. And for the rest of those few days that we're in Panama, it was a great time to be able to hang out. I feel bad because I know he invited me a couple times to hang out with the band, to work out. And I just didn't do it. Again, I was very focused on what I wanted to do. But I also know that I just want to say thank you, Evan, because you've made such an impact. There's so many different things that you've done. And I know that from afar, I've cheered you on. I know that you were at one point in Colombia. If I'm correct, you're in Tennessee, and you've been all over the place, and you've learned how to navigate even amongst a pandemic to bring inspiration through the music and stories that you tell. And I think that's the beauty of it, that as an ally to the Latino community, you have truly understood what it is to validate the stories of many people that have gone through some very hard moments, but also to be able to find their faith that in God. So if you guys don't know, check out Evan Kraft, an amazing musician, an amazing heart. Congrats to my brother. Welcome to the club, because you are officially married. And I'm just excited because I think this is the beauty of what we do here at Fuel Pasión, es conexiones, is to be able to find our brothers and sisters within the BIPOC community, but also to be able to find those that are allies and that really understand how to be able to empower. But I think more importantly, to know that I really believe that God called you to be able to be the voice to many of these generations that are up and coming within the Latin communities, but also as well as here in America. I just want to say, bro, really around the world. So Evan, I'm really excited for everything you're doing. Believe me, I'm constantly playing your music. But more importantly, man, I'm just always just excited to see people like you that are creating legacy. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much. As always, please check out our podcast from an audio lens. Hey, I just gotta let you guys know, Renee Molina killed it, and he was our latest guest in What Does It Take to Be a Storyteller. We talk about community, we talk about the identity of church, and how does that contribute to being a storyteller. And then we kind of nerd out on some other stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy the latest, podcast. And yeah, fuelpasionpodcast.com. And eso es todo, man. Que Dios te bendiga.